The rook is a very powerful piece, worth 5 pawns. In this position, the rook on e5 can touch any of these squares. The rook can move as far as it wants to, horizontally or vertically, until a piece stands in its way. So, in this position, this rook can move to any of these squares. Now, if there were a pawn, say, on c6, the rook could only move to these squares, and it would also have the option of capturing the black pawn on c6. Rook on c3 takes c6. The rook is an excellent long-distance operator. We want him on open lines because he can't jump over other pieces. On an empty board, the rook controls the same number of squares whether placed in the center or the side of the board. As we'll see later, this is very unusual. Most chess pieces are much more powerful when centrally placed. Let's practice moving the rook around. In this exercise, move the rook to the b1 square. You got it. Here, take 2 moves to move the white rook to the g7 square. No, that's not quite right. Try again. No, that's not quite right. Try again. In this position, can the black rook capture a white pawn? That's right. As you know, the king is the most important piece in your chess army. Protecting your king from attack is how you keep from losing the game. Because it's so important, there's a special move called castling, which you can use to put your king in a safe place. Castling is the only time in chess in which you're allowed to move 2 of your pieces, a king and a rook, in one move. Here's a board set up with only the white king and the 2 white rooks. You can castle either to the king's side, which is called castling short, or to the queen's side, which is referred to as castling long. In this exercise, we'll castle kingside. As you know, the king is... In this exercise, we'll castle kingside. First, move the king 2 spaces towards the rook, to g1. In this exercise, we'll castle queenside. In a game, castling moves the king away from the center of the board where it's more vulnerable to attack. Note how much safer the 2 kings are after they castle. Here, white castles queenside, and black castles kingside. It's usually a good idea to castle early in a game, both to protect the king and give the rook a chance to control the center files. There are 4 important rules that govern castling. Rule number 1. The king and rook may not have moved from their starting squares. In this board setup, white cannot castle to either side because both rooks have moved from their starting positions. Even if one of the rooks moves back, white still cannot castle. Rule number 2. All of the spaces between the rook and the king must be unoccupied. In this diagram, white cannot castle kingside because the knight is in the way. But he can castle queenside, because all of the spaces between the king and the rook are empty. Rule number 3. The king cannot be in check. In this position, it would appear that white can castle kingside, because neither the king nor the rook has moved from its starting square, and the spaces between the rook and the king are empty. However, the white king is currently in check from the black pawn on d2, so he cannot castle. Rule number 4. The squares that the king passes over cannot be under attack, and since you can never move your king into check, the square to which it's moving can't be under attack either. In this position, the spaces between the king and the rook on the queen side are open. However, the d1 square is guarded by the black rook on d8, so the white king cannot pass over it. Castling is illegal. In this position, the c1 square is guarded by the black rook on c8, so the king can't land on it. Castling is illegal here as well. Now that you know how the rook moves, let's take a look at a few checkmates. In this position, white can actually checkmate the black king in one move. Do you see it? Yep, that's it. The black king is trapped on the back rank. The white king guards the d7, e7, and f7 squares, and the white rook mates the king. This is called a back rank mate. Here's another variation of the back rank mate. White to move. Do you see it? Yep, that's it. Rook a8, once again, is checkmate. And here the white king doesn't need to help out, because the pawns on f7, g7, and h7 are trapping the black king. Notice how our own pieces can hurt us. This is once again called a back rank mate. In this position, there are a lot of pieces on the board, but if we're familiar with the back rank mate, we should be able to spot it here. Black to move. What do you see? Good job. The correct move is rook a1. I call this exercise monster rook. Here, calculate how the white rook can take all the black pieces in sequence, without any breaks. You can't take every piece in sequence after moving to that square. You can't take every piece in sequence after moving to that square. No problem. White to move. Mate in 1. Good job. Your rook on h6 covers the 6th rank, while your king covers the b4 and b5 squares. By moving your rook to a2, you've checkmated the black king. White to move. Mate in 1. No, that's not quite right. Try again. No, that's not quite right. Try again. Rook takes a4, checkmate. In this position, it's mate in 2 moves. What is black's first? Now it's mate. By using both of your... This one's tricky. Take your time, remember everything you've learned so far, and try to find white's best move. So now let's go back to the original position. What should white do? Find the strongest sequence of moves. Now it's mate in 2 moves. Now it's mate in 1 move. What's the last one? It's the last. In this position, it's white to move and mate, checking the black king. Rook h6, rook h6. Take a look at this position. What's white's best move?